Hello and welcome back to another monthly money recap video where I go over what I spent in the last month and how I'm thinking about the month ahead. If you're new here, hi, my name is Danielle. I'm a first-gen Latina who is making videos on my personal finance journey, and I, after being laid off and looking for a job for 11 months, finally have a job again. And so you're gonna see that this month is the first time I made a full-time income for the whole month. This is the first time I have a full month of work money. So you're gonna see that reflected in this. But if this kind of video interests you, if you're interested in seeing someone on their journey to financial independence while still trying to enjoy life, then hit that subscribe button and I hope you follow along for this journey. Today's video is really just my monthly recap. We go over last month, we look ahead to next month. Before we get into the specifics on what I spent in July, I wanted to talk about the systems that I have for this monthly money management. Ari and I, my husband, we use 3 different tools. So one of them is a spreadsheet I created, which, to be honest, I still need to update this one to fit our needs today, because when I was making this, it was really just with a single person in mind. And so now I need to update that one, but we still use it. Second tool that we use is Google Calendar. We like to, see what events we have for the month ahead and plan our budget that way. Like if we know we have 3 birthdays coming up, we know we might have to adjust our gifts category. And the last one, and one we recently started using in the last 3 months, is Monarch Money. This is one that I have really liked because it seems to work well for couples. I've used many money apps, and this one I feel like is good for 2 people going in there and reviewing things instead of one person owning the username and password, right? We have 2 separate accounts. And so we've been enjoying that one. That's kind of what we use. July was interesting. Like I already mentioned, it was the first month that I had 2 paychecks, which I get paid semi-monthly. And so it was the first month where I'm receiving the income that I would be receiving for the rest of the year. And so it was nice to see kind of full-time income coming in. I had to travel for work. I literally just got off the plane 5 hours ago. So I'm like, those are some of the things that, impacted how we saw and what we did with our money. But I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and kind of go through what this budget looks like and where we overspent and where we actually did a really good job. This is what our budget tab on Monarch Money looks like. So we're looking at the month of July. Income, let's start there. I had estimated $6,000 for my paychecks because I wanted to be on the conservative side. I didn't know how much taxes were going to be taken out. I really wasn't sure. But it actually ended up being $7,200, which is great. Then we have interest. This, I was just talking to Ari because we just had our money date, and we're like, we don't even see this as income because we don't see it as money in our checking account. We see it across different savings accounts. So yes, we estimated and expected 100 just based on our savings account. We actually received 119 in interest deposits. And so, yes, it's income, but it's not income that we see as like spending money, or, it just goes back into the savings accounts that it's being given to. And then First Gen Money, I just released a video last week talking about how much money I've made on YouTube. And I'm happy to say that this has been back-to-back months, right? July, I got a paycheck. June, I got a paycheck. August, I might get a paycheck. I don't know, but it's nice to see there's momentum and videos are getting enough watched hours to be able to, I don't know how that gets paid out, but it's nice to see that we're getting more consistent checks coming in through YouTube. So the total income for the month of July was $74.70. Definitely a jump from what we were doing before. So now we go into our expenses, and this starts with our gifts and donations. We budgeted 110. We only spent 54, so came under here, which is good. Auto and transportation. So we overall on this category did well. We had about 176 left. But when you open it up, you see there's some areas in red. And that just means some of these categories went over the allotted budget that we had. So here you see transportation is in red. That's because NJ Transit upped their prices. So that was more than I expected. And gas was good. I guess we're driving less when I'm working full time at home. Auto maintenance, we thought we were going to do the inspection, but we ended up only just doing the oil change. So the $140 was actually just $72 for the oil change. Parking and tolls, we budgeted $200, but only spent $124. So what happens here is that we use Ari's sister's Easy Pass. And so every quarter we sent her our portion of the costs. And so this is for a couple months worth of tolls. And then I did taxi and ride shares for $6 because we had a $15 credit that we get from our Amex. So that is auto and transport. Housing stayed the same. We didn't have any other additional housing costs besides the rent. And for those of you who are just watching this video and coming across me for the first time, we live in my mother-in-law's basement, which is why our housing cost is only $300 in a high cost of living area. And bills and utilities, we came under here, pretty straightforward, internet, phone subscriptions. Food and dining, surprisingly came under here, even though groceries, we went over what we expected. So we expected $650, we actually spent $690. Eating out was under, we thought $400. I actually spent $303, but you know, it kind of helps to balance it out when we're spending more on groceries than eating out. Like you shouldn't be overspending on both categories because then you can assume that there's going to be some food waste. So that's good to see. And then coffee shops, did a couple of coffee runs. I'm okay. Honestly, I am all for it. I love treating myself to a latte, and that's not going to keep me from growing my wealth. So there's that. Lifestyle, trips and vacation, I budgeted $150 because I thought, this would account for my trip to Chicago, but Chicago actually ended up being in August. So you're going to see some of that there. Entertainment and recreation, we have here $100, actually spent $33. Pets went over because not only did I have to re-up on dry food, but we also had to re-up on our wet food. So there is that. Shopping. Okay, shopping is the first of the budget categories where we are in the red. And there is a big reason why. So you'll see that for miscellaneous shopping, yes, we went over $76 just with, I needed a notebook, like random little things that we needed to buy from, unfortunately, Amazon. But the most important thing in the shopping category to look at is clothing. We spent $197 that we did not plan to spend. And that is because Ari is part of a bridal party that we have in October. So we have a wedding in October, he's in the bridal party. And so he rented out his tux for that wedding. And I didn't even know he needed a tux. I don't think he knew he needed to order a tux until he got the message that he needed to rent something. So that's that. Can't avoid it, right? Like, it's fine. What can you do? Family stuff, this was just this was actually $17 just for Netflix that I pay for the household. But good news there is my little sister just landed her first full-time job and she's living at home now. So I think it's time to pass the torch down to her and say, hey, these household bills that I've been paying the last 10 years, all yours, all yours, all yours. Yeah, we'll see how she receives that. Health and wellness. Here is the one we are going to chat about a bit because we went way over, $305 over to be exact. Dentist, we can just ignore. We budgeted, didn't actually pay the dentist this month. I have to call her and see how much I owe her. Because yeah, I'm pretty sure I owe her money, but We'll call her in August. Fitness, Peloton, you already know it's a $44 charge, also a subscription, but we divide it into fitness just so we can keep better track of fitness expenses. Personal care. Ari got a haircut. He's been doing really good at, trying to wait as long as he can to get a haircut. And to be honest, like, a haircut is fine. Like, get a haircut. And so he finally booked his haircut. And so that's the $84 that we had him initially thought about when we did the $10. I also don't know like what the $10 is for. Actually, I do know. I was going to get my nails done and I have a gift card. So the $10 was going to be the tip. Okay, that makes sense. Medical, last category in this, last section in this category. We went over $270 here. So this actually is reflective of therapy. Ari, because I have a full-time job now, is able to now go to therapy, which is great. It's something that unfortunately, because costs for mental health and seeing doctors is so expensive in this country, something we had to put on hold while I wasn't working. And so now that I am, we're like, therapy is a priority. So yes, it costs a lot of money and we have a high deductible health plan. And so even if, we found somebody in network, we'd have to meet our deductible before we can receive any of that support. So that's what that medical is. And that's just going to keep getting higher. And you'll see why. We'll talk about that in August. Financial, again, another month that I don't make any changes to trying to figure out how to keep a balance on my Chase so that I don't get charged these fees. So that's that. I still have to kind of calculate whether it's worth it to change what we're doing now. But this other category, usually we don't have anything in other, but this time we do. And we went over $400 in miscellaneous. So what does this mean? This was the category we have for all the things that are not personal, but also not health related, but also not shopping. And basically what this $400 is, it's a bunch of payments or a bunch of, costs associated to the different tests and certifications that Ari is getting for this new career path that he's going to pursue. And we'll talk about that more when things happen there, but that just means that he needs to take these tests to be able to even qualify to do this job in the state of New Jersey. So $400 for the potential to have him making money again. First gen money. Subscriptions, okay, that is my usual Epidemic Sounds, different things. What else do I subscribe to? Oh, for my podcast it's $5, but I should probably decide if I need it. And then we have the financial services fees. Again, Chase is charging me because I keep that account under $3,000. So I have to weigh the pros and cons there. And that was a to-do in July, and she did not do it. We budgeted $29.84 for July, and we actually came at $34.13. So we were over budget by $429. If we look at the summary here, I earned $74.70 and spent $34.13. So what happens with the rest of the money that we didn't budget? We decided to throw that into a savings account to try to beef up our emergency fund, right? Because we're kind of starting from scratch there. We still have to go through as a couple kind of what we want this to look like and what we want this to be. But once I do, I will make sure I make a video on which savings goals we have for the rest of the year. Looking ahead to August, and one of the first things that we do is look at our Google Calendar. So as you can see here, I pulled it up. We listed all the events that might cost money that we're probably going to, want to do. And so we should think about how that impacts August budget. I have a concert I want to attend on the 13th. We have a dinner date this Saturday with friends in Philly. Movie night, gotta pay for a $16 movie ticket. So this is kind of what I mean when we use a calendar to kind of map out what the month is going to look like when I think about money, right? So if you can see, this is just my money and bills calendar. This is not my personal calendar. This is where I see what things are going to cost money. And so after we look at this, we then talk through, and I won't share it because we haven't updated, but we talk about what things ahead might impact our stop overspending goals. We look at where do we want to challenge our spending this month, and we take something from the previous month that we want to do differently this month. So this is July, but it still matters because we're still asking ourselves those questions when we set our budget for the month ahead. I'm going to quickly just summarize August, and then at the end of the month, we'll see exactly how we spent it. So you'll see, first of all, income is significantly reduced. And this is a change that I made before really figuring out all the expenses we were going to have in August. So I might switch that around. I made the decision to try to max out my 401k by the end of this year, which means that I have to throw a lot more per month into my 401k. In July, I put 0 in the 401k. For August, I'm doing 41% of my paychecks. So per paycheck, I'm getting 41% taken out to equal about $4,000 a month. So with that in mind, I said, well, I'm only going to get $3,300 from my paychecks, given that I'm, going to be investing the rest of it. And our expenses went up, and we've already spent $666, and we're at day 4 of the month, right? So what is clear in this month, just by setting up our budget, is that we need to make more money. We need to make more money if I want to continue with the goal of maxing out my 401k. But if I do want to continue with the goal of maxing out my 401k, then the emergency fund does not get refunded. Like we're not going to prioritize building that up. And we don't invest outside of retirement. And there's no investment vehicle for Ari, which right now, I don't even know if he could do a Roth IRA. So I guess that's fine. But that's the thing that we need to think about. And we need to think about making more money. This month, Ari is going to be looking at getting a part-time job so that we can fix that negative $900. So that is kind of like what we're thinking about for August. I think the biggest thing here and what we've budgeted that's significantly larger this month than it was in all previous months, well, aside from when I was paying for health insurance in the marketplace, is medical bill is $1,500. And this is just because with Ari's therapy sessions happening every week and them costing over $100, and also getting a psychiatrist, which the initial intake and all of that is by itself like $500, just between one session to just costs so much. All of these expenses come out to about $1,500. And so that's kind of like the biggest thing that we're looking at for August. If I had to answer the questions that I set out at the beginning of the month, what might impact our stop overspending goals? Well, we know that therapy and health, mental health is going to be that for a couple of months at least. So that's number one. Where do we want to challenge ourselves? We talked about groceries. We are eating out a lot more. We have events this month that will require more eating out. So let's pare down on the groceries. Let's be really, really strict about what we're making for meals. And then what do we want to do differently than what we did in the previous month? I think in the previous month, we, weren't thinking about that part-time job for Ari and we weren't investing. But now we're going to be investing in my 401k and as well as the HSA, which is something we have through our high deductible health plan, which is why we signed up for it. That is our monthly money recap. I hope you learned something from this. I hope this is helpful. If you enjoy these type of videos, let me know. I am working on getting a new camera because I have been filming on my iPhone, which is doing a good job, but it really forces me to do more talking heads. And I missed my vlog style videos. So more to come on that. Until next time, Enjoy your week. I'll see you next Wednesday.